Welcome to a special episode of the Grind Season podcast. I'm going to be specifically talking about To Pimp A Butterfly today, which is easily my favorite album of all time, bar none, across all genres, all time, dead or alive, and just kind of dissecting it, analyzing it, and all that good stuff. I have no clue if someone's made this for this album before. I'm pretty sure they must have, right? It's not a it's not an original idea. I know the Spotify Dissect podcast is, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were like doing an episode on every song on Swimming by Mac Miller. It's, just a quick side note before we get into To Pimp a Butterfly. I keep trying to put people onto Mac Miller, and it's like no one gives a fuck. Like my boys, we have a list of albums that we're gonna listen to, and I've suggested Swimming like a billion times, and they don't give a fuck. I don't know. I think I know like one person that fucks with Mac, maybe two, which is crazy, And I think I'd say towards like the start of the pandemic, I got into a lot of Mac. Like I always knew like the hits like Weekend and Self Care, but yeah, I just got really into him. I listened to all the shit, and then once I started collecting vinyls, now I have Swimming and The Divine Feminine, and unfortunately the Swimming one does skip, like it's bad quality. And it's not even from Amazon, it's from an actual record store in Hamilton, but it skips, which is really annoying. But The Divine Feminine sounds good. I think between Swimming and Feminine's got to be my favorite. Just because of it's just like very jazzy, which is an element it shares with To Pimp a Butterfly, which is what we're gonna get into right now. Good transition. Okay. When did I first? Okay, first of all, this came out in 2015, so it's by no means new. And during the past several episodes of this podcast, I've like given small updates on the upcoming many quotation marks around the word upcoming Kendrick Lamar album. So I don't know when that's happening. He's at the time I'm speaking right now, he's going to be performing at the Super Bowl tomorrow on Sunday. It's Saturday night right now. He's performing tomorrow. Listen. This guy is enigmatic. And that's understating it. He is enigmatic, okay? But it just makes sense from an industry perspective, from just any sort of commercial outlook, to release something prior to, being featured on one of the biggest TV events in America annually. So I'm just throwing that out there. If there was going to be an album anytime soon, I would say it would have been already dropped right now, but it is what it is. And I heard people saying he's gonna drop with Kanye, like on the same day of Kanye, which I honestly don't see happening. That's something I could see J. Cole doing. Kendrick, I don't know. And actually, Cole has done it before, like years ago. But anyways, To Pimp a Butterfly. 2015. So when Good Kid, Mad City dropped, that was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. People were already calling that a classic like a year later, even before that, right? And then I guess there was dialogue about like how is he gonna top this? Is he gonna top this? Good Kid, Mad City, which is still like one of the best hip hop albums released after 2000. So in the last 22 years, I feel comfortable saying that one of the top 10 hip hop records released in the last 22 years. All right, which is still like a title it has, and even back then they were saying that too. So which begged the question, what is gonna come after this? Obviously, Good Kid, Mad City was a step up from Section 80, as most people I think would agree. and he had singles leading up to Butterfly. Um, I think the studio version of that was a single, and maybe The Black of the Berry. So okay, so just based off those two singles, The Black of the Berry is we'll get to that. We'll get to that a lot more in depth later in this episode, but The Black of the Berry is a very dense song. It's not easy listening for anyone. It's very dense, very profound. So as a single, that's just got it. I mean I wasn't listening to rap like that back then, like 2014, but just to have that song as a single for your album, it's just like it grabs anyone's attention, I would think. And then I is definitely not, in my opinion. Yours could differ, but I think I is not quite on the level of The Black of the Berry. They both contain messages in and of themselves, but I is definitely more. It's definitely more dependent on like the album as a whole. So if I made this record in 2015, I don't know if I would drop I as a single. It's very like, what I mean by that is it's very like it makes complete sense like in terms of the sequencing. That's what I'm trying to say. I couldn't find the words, but yeah, so where like just the placement in the album of it makes complete sense, and it's necessary. It's a necessary song. And again, we'll get to that later, but The Black of the Berry stands on its own for sure. There's a whole universe contained within those 4 minutes or however long it is. So just insane. Those are insane singles to come out with. I'm just gonna real quick check if The Black of the Berry was a single, because I don't want to be tripping. But while I'm doing that, yeah. So the first track on this, Wesley's Theory, it starts with some like vinyl crackling. If you don't have a record player, or you're not familiar with certain types of music, then you might not exactly be familiar with what that sounds like. But it's a very mellow intro to the song, and there's some words on there that I can't repeat, but that's the driving thing of the intro, which is, I think it's either a sample or George Clinton singing on there. It could, you know what? It could be George Clinton, a George Clinton sample, and they just decided to say featuring him. But I'm pretty sure he did some original vocals for the song too. But maybe it's Thundercat, because Thundercat is also on the song. So Wesley's Theory is the first track featuring George Clinton and Thundercat. So yeah, as I said, it starts off very mysterious, mellow, and then when the beat drops, it's a crazy beat drop. That's a crazy beat drop for the first track of the album, for your intro, right? And then he goes off. There's some singing and shit, and yeah, there's a couple verses. So it's not really an intro. It's just the first song, but it's the introduction into this sonic universe. So yeah, so if you just like picture yourself in 2015, and the last thing you heard from this guy was Good Kid, Mad City, which is very good. Like I said, one of the best of the last 20 years. But some of it sounds like a bit dated, like in terms of production. The lyrics, oh my god, okay, but the production, some of it is a little bit dated. Like for example, Mad City, which I think Mad City is top 3 on that album. Still, I fucking love that song. But just the hi-hat pattern, and yeah, mainly the hi-hat pattern. It sounds very dated. Most Kendrick fans would agree with that. And then you have other songs on there like Swimming Pools with kind of the same sort of thing I'm trying to explain. I think mainly the reason I say it's dated is, yeah, it's pretty much the hi-hat pattern, but there's not, as we'll get into, this To Pimp a Butterfly is like a timeless sound for a couple reasons. But yeah, so if Good Kid, Mad City with, again, amazing production, but not, it's different. It's just sonically different. It's a little bit more mainstream. And then you're hearing this, which is crazy saxophone runs, jazz, hip hop. It's like, what am I about to get into? That's Wesley's Theory in a nutshell, basically. What the fuck? What am I about to listen to? And then it quiets down and it fades into like a I think it's either a trumpet or a saxophone, but it's a one shot, like a A minor note or something. I don't know. And that fades into the next track. It transitions into the next track for free, interlude. And then the first few seconds of For Free is just straight. There's no hip hop. It's jazz. It's straight up jazz. Very extravagant jazz, I would say. So this is Wesley's Theory. Obviously, the jazz is there, but then you get to For Free, and it's way more in your face, and it kind of serves as if Wesley's Theory was, okay, what the fuck am I about to get into? For Free is, okay, this is what the fuck I'm into. If that makes sense. So it kind of just, yeah, from the one shots of saxophone, it kind of explodes into this just like runs of every instrument, and then it quiets down into like a I don't know how to put it more gently than I'm about to, but it sounds like an annoying bitch complaining on the phone to her boyfriend about this and that, with the like crazy backing jazz backing track. Like if you picture like a jazz lounge in New York in the 40s, and there's a guy smoking at the bar, and the drink in your hand fucking sucks, but you don't care because the music is so good. That's what I picture when I hear the backing track, which is oddly specific, but just roll with it, okay? And then it's juxtaposed with the girl, and it's just sonically crazy to listen to. And I will mention, there's a lot of panning in this album. If you don't know what that means, it's a audio engineering thing where a producer will have the sound start in one ear, like the left earphone, and then transfer over to the right, like slide over to the right. You've experienced it, even if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's pretty prevalent. And it's different from the kind of panning that they used in like remasters of old songs. Like something that comes to mind is the Beatles. Like a lot of Beatles remaster songs, they'll have the vocal track playing on the left ear and the instruments playing on the right ear. So if you're like me and you're like have one in because, you know, going for a jog or just on the train, I don't know, and you just have one in, like, you're gonna inadvertently hear just the vocals or just the instrument. So it's different from that. That's a form of panning. But panning in general, sorry, this is a long explanation, but panning in general is just using the fact that you can put one track through one ear and another track through the other to your advantage, okay? And there's a lot of that on this album. There's a lot on Institutionalized, which is 2 tracks from now, but I'm still talking about For Free. Also, the video for Free is crazy. Like when an album has a video for the interlude, dog, you know you're about to get into some shit. And the video is crazy. Okay, so after the girl ends her rant, Kendrick, it's the same jazz backing track, but Kendrick comes in, and so if you've ever heard the kind of jazz I'm talking about, it's just, there's no like 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there is, but you can't rap over it. That's what I'm saying. But you can if you're Kendrick, apparently. So what he does, and this is kind of mind-blowing, and like no one's ever done this in rap, in mainstream rap definitely, is he uses his voice as an instrument in the jazz ensemble. It's like he's not really. There's definitely a motif, like he's following a cadence. He's following a cadence, but he's not following the rhythm of, of the track, because the drums are a little bit more abstract than regular hip hop drums. Because again, it's jazz. All right, so, but he makes it work so well. It's ridiculous. He uses, he uses his voice as the starring instrument of the piece, not as a vocalist typically would, where the vocals sort of stand on top, and the instrument is the foundation. He is an instrument on that song, and he just flows with it. Yeah, and he follows the motif keeps him in check, and the cadence keeps him in check, and that's what really that's the only structure in it, and that's what makes it work. An insane track, one of my favorites on this album for sure, for free. Track number 3, King Kunta, is probably the biggest hit on this one, in terms of like commercially. It's a lot less mind blowing than For Free, but yeah, just the energy is crazy, and it's a little bit more mainstream sounding, but it's very West Coast, unapologetically West Coast. I think it's a DJ Quick beat, and one of my favorite bars on the album is on there. It's something about ghostwriting. It's coming back to me. Hold on, give me a second. Oh yeah, I can dig rapping, but a rapper with the ghostwriter, what the fuck happened? Oh no, I swear I wouldn't tell. But most of y'all share bars like you got the bottom bunk in a 2-man cell. When I heard that for the first time, and I really took a second to digest it, I was like, what the fuck? And a lot of, the thing with Kendrick is a lot of, I've heard bars on that level before, like on a daily basis, but just the way he delivers it, and just something about Kendrick in particular. There's not a lot of rappers that could do that, that give me that reaction. Like, I hear a punchline, I go, what the fuck? Kendrick is one, Cole is one, I guess like Andre is one, Big L definitely, Big Pun, all those guys, right? So it's really it's an exclusive, it's a select group. Yeah, so King Kunta is I have much less to say about it, because there's a lot less elements of stuff that you wouldn't normally hear on a hip hop album, but it's definitely a unique track. It's definitely amazing, and that'll segue me into excuse me, that'll segue me into track number 4, which is Institutionalized, featuring Bilal, Anna Wise, and Snoop Dogg. So Anna Wise, she was the singer on, what's that song with J-Rock? Money Trees. I'm 99% sure that was her. So Kendrick collabs with her a lot. I'm pretty sure she's on Damn too, on some song. Not quite sure, but yeah, she's normally present. And it starts off with like a sort of ragtag chorus kind of thing. Not choruses and hook, but like an actual chorus of people singing over like a very, very mellow beat, very kind of basic kind of, but it sets the vibe. The vibe is there. The vibe is crazy. The energy is there. And then once the chorus transitions into the actual beat that plays for the rest of the song, you can hear Snoop Dogg come in, and this is a really good example of panning. So when Snoop Dogg comes in, he's just doing like, I guess like a rudimentary form, or not rudimentary, a Snoop Dogg form of ad-libs before Kendrick comes in with his verse. But the way it's panned, it makes it sound like he's going back and forth really quick between both your ears. And if you're wearing headphones and listening to that track, it's crazy. Like, if I bought new headphones, that's the song that I would choose to test it out on. Institutionalized. And yeah, Kendrick has a lot to say on this one too, in terms of the lyrical depth. Yeah, but sonically, again, it's an insane track, just production wise. In terms of the actual word institutionalized, I don't really have a definition off the top of my head. I didn't listen to the song, but I can give you an example. It's like there was a jewel robber named Larry Lawton, one of the biggest jewel thieves in American history, I think. And he did a bid. He served some time in I think it was federal prison. It must have been. And when he came out, put him on a bus back to New York from somewhere in the prairies. I'm not sure, some federal penitentiary out there. And when the bus stopped at a rest stop, so they could buy food with what little money they had, just coming out of jail, he had like a panic attack in line at the subway, like thinking, just presented with so many choices of the sandwich, and he's thinking, like, in jail it was so much easier. What the fuck, right? You become a subject of the institution and not just to the institution, if that makes sense. And that's the way I can try to explain the meaning of the word institutionalized to you, but it's all in the song. And of course, Kendrick uses it in the context of Compton, right? Which is, I would say, a lot better use of the concept, just as a song, because jail is it's still a very profound concept. It's a lot to think about, but if you apply it to getting out of the hood, it's like, it brings a whole nother level of just, it's thought provoking, right? So I really appreciate the just, even going past the lyrical depth, just the basic concept, the fundamentality of it. It's a mind-blowing song. I'm going to use the term mind-blowing a lot during this episode. And this is going to be a long one. We're already at like 20 minutes. And I'm not even through side A. Okay. So let's move on. So These Walls, track number 5, featuring Bilal, Analyze, and Thundercat again. By the way, Thundercat is a crazy bassist. I know he does other things, but just in terms of his bass playing skills, he's really good. But anyways, These Walls is a very different track. We're back on These Walls. We're back to a lot more jazzy feel that we got in For Free, in Wesley's Theory. King Kunta and Institutionalized, it's a lot more West Coast. And again, this is a West Coast hip hop project, but you get that vibe foremost in King Kunta and Institutionalized out of the tracks we've talked about already. These Walls is very jazzy, okay? And Analyze sings the first verse. That's the first thing you hear. And then Kendrick comes in, and These Walls, I guess, is a metaphor for, firstly, the walls of a woman's pussy. I don't know if I could ever monetize this after saying some of the stuff I've said already, but fuck it. And also the walls of a prison cell. And this is all contained within the verses, which is, the lyrical, I've been saying, the lyrical content and density on this album is just, like, it's off the charts. Like, I've never heard anything like this. And the first time I listened to it, I was blown away. Definitely blown away. Especially at Institutionalized. I remember the first time I listened to it all the way through. And getting to Institutionalized, I was like, I was fucking missing out listening to Cole or whatever. Listen, Cole is my favorite rapper. I've said that multiple times. That being said, I can admit he has never made anything like this. You can't listen to the first 5 tracks of this and then go listen to like a Born Sinner And that's coming from someone who likes Cole more than Kendrick. You just can't. You can't go do that. All right. So that's my 2 cents on that. But sorry, Cole. Last time I shitted on Eminem, and now I'm coming for Cole. I guess I have a problem. These walls. Oh, I should mention, sometimes at the beginning and sometimes at the end of these songs, I think a majority, Kendrick has a poem, like a free-form poem he starts saying, and then it fades into the next song without the poem being finished. And, as you move through the album, the poem gets longer, and he recites more of it every song. But we'll get to that later. So, side B, we have You. You is a standout track on the album. Absolutely standout track. It's very emotional, and that stems, number one, from the lyrical content, and number two, from the delivery, especially the delivery. In layman's terms, it sounds like he's crying while delivering it, while rapping it, and I guess while writing it. And there's one moment where he says, the bar is like, if this bottle could talk, and then you hear him take a swig of a drink, and that's crazy. It's like, it's part of the delivery, right? So again, sonically very jazzy, but it's a standout track just because the vibe it gives you, and how it's very uncomfortable in the sense that you don't want to experience, even secondhand, you don't want to witness or experience the pain that is clearly coming off this record. That's the vibes that's coming here. Again, sonically very jazzy, but lyrically just insane. It's very, it just plunges you all the way into this sonical universe. All right. And then that fades into, so the saddest song on the album. Well, actually, we'll get to that, but emotionally the saddest album. Emotionally the saddest song on this album fades into arguably this happiest or second happiest one, which is Alright. And which is an interesting choice that I'll talk about in just a second. But Alright is the other absolute hit from this album, other than King Kunta. Alright definitely got radio play in its day, I think, and definitely a lot more like Spotify streams and shit like that. Not that really means anything, but it's of note. It's of note. And this one is kind of a hybrid between For Free and King Kunta, and it's a jazz sample, and it's the way it's chopped. It's kind of like, and might be not a very good example to you fucking hip hop purists out there, but it's like if The Alchemist made a trap beat. This is what it would sound like, even though it's not really trap. The flow, and just this is speaking from someone who raps. The flow you have to use over it is a triplet flow, which is commonly what you also have to use over a trap beat. But the beat is not really trap. But just coming from a rapping perspective, it's sort of like it might as well be. It might as well be. But yeah, like I said, if Madlib or Ninth Wonder or The Alchemist or maybe Dilla made like a mainstream trap beat, Alright is what it would sound like. So Alright is a lot, even though it's an important song, it's a great song. It's a lot less profound in the sense that the message is accessible. It's right there in the hook. We gonna be alright. And the importance of it coming right after You, which is the most vulnerable, is of acceptance. We gonna be alright. And with that being said, the what are we at? The 8th track, the 8th track is For Sale interlude. This is an interesting one. It's maybe, if there are no forgettable songs on this album, absolutely not. But if I had to pick one, it wouldn't be on it. It would be this one. Even though it's like, it kind of hurts me to even admit that, because it's insane sonically. Production wise, absolutely insane track. Just the vocal layering and just there's so much of value here in this interlude. There's a lot less to be said in terms of in terms of lyrics, but and huge, and this is a huge stipulation in what I'm saying. This is where he delves further into the concept of Lucy, as in Lucifer, the devil, and the title For Sale, alluding to to pimp. When I say to pimp a butterfly, like black performers basically, and he raps from the perspective of, I guess a performer struggling with that, or maybe himself, or vulnerable to that, and just the notion that your record and I should state that record labels are definitely just some of the most exploitative companies in the entertainment industry. Definitely record labels, and coupled with systematic racism. That's really what this track is getting at. And alright, and definitely in a poem, and in alright, he talked about it at certain points throughout the first 7 tracks. But For Sale is where it's really it's diving into the concept and the idea and the mindset. And then so we have track number 9, Mama. Honestly, to give you a complete opinion like I have these other tracks, I would have to listen to it again. This is one that I don't remember as clear as the other ones to give you just a complete a complete analysis. But the beat, I will say about the production. See, I don't quite remember the plot of the story in the song, but I do definitely remember the beat. And the beat, amazing. That being said, I feel like it would be hard to rap over. But Kendrick, yeah, definitely does it justice. I mean, it's his song, but yeah, he absolutely slays this beat. And I wish I listened to specifically that song and For Sale before recording this, so I could give a answer on the same level. But I have to move on to Hood Politics, which starts with a guitar. It's just a simple guitar riff. It's a 4-bar guitar riff. And it's like a voicemail playing over it, kind of like like the Good Kid, Mad City voicemails, kind of similar to that, but it's at the front. And then it goes into, so if anyone knows J. Cole Fire Squad, this is it, kind of like similar vibes. Like he's in Hood Politics, he's definitely walking a little bit away from the conceptualization and more into the fuck you guys, I'm the dopest, basically. But he does it in a Kendrick way, which is, and again, I gotta shit on Cole a little bit. Hood Politics is what Fire Squad should have been, in my opinion. That's my notion on that. But yeah, Hood Politics, 3 verses of just straight liquid fire in terms of lyrics, just crazy. The beat is very good too, and again, sonically, maybe a little bit less on the jazz. There's no saxophone solos, but it's definitely still there. The cadence, the cadence is definitely jazz, all the way. And let's go into How Much a Dollar Costs, which is the next track. I think one of my favorites on this album, and for a different reason than For Free. The reason I like For Free so much is it's just genius and it's so creative. Just the way he thought to do that, and in terms of delivery. How Much a Dollar Costs, 100%, because of the lyrical content, not because of the delivery, the beat. Even though the delivery and the beat are exceptional, but what he's saying is just so important. It's important for people to hear, and I urge you to, if you want, to pause this and listen to it and take in the words. Listen to that little genius lyric thing they have like under the Spotify play thing. I urge you, listen to it, because the things he's saying is just so applicable to every single person living in North American society, and we gloss over a lot. Even if you just, even aside from all that, if you just take the title at face value, how much a dollar costs, that is a very, very important question that, like, a lot of people don't think to ask. They never come across it. What's the value of a dollar? How far are you going to go to make a quick buck? How many people are you going to hurt? How ignorant are you going to be? How much a dollar costs? That's just off the title. So imagine the song and just the whole story he tells, and it's just vivid and you can picture it. Insane track, stunning, one of the best hip hop songs I've ever heard, and a huge reason why I like this album so much. Just off the title too. And then you go into what he's saying. But even just off the title, that is something that everyone needs to think about. Yeah, I would say in European, all Western society, people need to ask themselves how much a dollar costs. Which is, yeah, again, insane track, insane idea, crazy concept, right? And it's featuring James Fauntleroy, who was on Born Sinner, the album, and Ronald Isley, which I don't actually remember Ronald Isley on that shit, but he's on there. And Complexion, which is the next track. Complexion is the only one with like a full verse from another rapper. Snoop Dogg had the hook, right, on Institutionalized, and then for some reason, and it definitely fits the vibe, but Rhapsody, who is I think my second favorite female rapper behind Lil Sims. If you don't know who Lil Sims is, I highly urge you to pause this and come back to it later, but listen to Sometimes I Might Be an Introvert, which is Lil Sims' most recent album. If you like, I will say, if you like Kendrick, you'll like that shit. Anyways, Rhapsody's on here, and yeah, she does it justice. Is it? Oh yeah, obviously the message behind Complexion. Again, where it's a little bit more jazzy, a little bit more of that. That's the Sonics, but yeah, just in terms of the message, really solid, really important. And then Rhapsody does it justice too. And then that leads into The Black of the Berry, which is so interesting sequencing in the last few tracks here. Hood politics, very in your face, very there's messages to be looked for. There's stuff hidden between the lines, but it's very blatant, as is Alright. How much a dollar costs is kind of the opposite. You have to really listen. You have to look for it. You have to search for it. It's in there, but you have to think. And then Complexion, it's another one of those where it's like, yeah, there's stuff hidden between the lines, but it's there. It's served to you a little bit, you know. Even like, yeah, the concepts. It's handed to you pretty much. Especially I would maybe less so in the verse, less so in Kendrick's verse, but even in the hook, what he's trying to say is placed in front of you. The Black of the Berry is one that combines the two concepts of, like, combines those two songwriting tropes, I guess. Black of the Berry is kind of completely attacking systematic racism, which is a huge task for one song, but it does the job. I mean, and it makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable, and it's supposed to, and that's absolutely a good thing. Absolutely a good thing. It makes me feel uncomfortable the first few times I listen to it. But now I play it around my dukes. But yeah, that's the intention though. Yeah, it's the content within it is very like I said way earlier, like 30 minutes ago. It's very profound and very dense. There's a lot to be searched for, but there is also a lot that's thrown at you, like vigorously, right? It's a crazy track, especially to have as a single. And the things that are said on there, much like How Much a Dollar Costs, is everyone needs to hear it, regardless of race, gender, religion, whatever. You need to hear it. So coming from that into You Ain't Gotta Lie is very fitting, I think. And sort of how You transitions into Alright, which is very vulnerable, very emotional, very raw, into kind of like, okay, this might be alright. Acceptance. The Black of the Berry, which is very, very intense, very angry, into You Ain't Gotta Lie, which is very mellow and accepting. Alright is a message of acceptance, and You Ain't Gotta Lie is accepting. You ain't gotta lie to kick it. That's what it's saying in the hook, right? And I guess say this is a little bit on the blatant side, which is not bad in any way. I'm not saying that in a negative connotation. I'm just observing, but again, very jazzy. But yeah, this is definitely jazzier than The Black of the Berry and How Much a Dollar Costs. So we're back on that side of it. And then it goes into I. So I is an interesting one because the single that was released, it's the studio version, which is one thing. But the I on here is, it's the live version. I don't know from what. No idea what concert. But it's so much better than the studio version. If he left the studio version on here, I don't even know if I would like it that much. Knowing that this live version is just crazy. So much better. And then, yeah, it's a very upbeat. Oh, one of the most upbeat songs on the album, definitely. Up there with Alright. And it's very... If You Ain't Gotta Lie is accepting, I is like everything is fine. Not that he's saying everything is fine in the song, but just the vibes. That's what the vibes are giving. And sort of the lyrics in a way, and kind of like dipping my toes into everything is gonna be okay kind of thing. Not as much as Alright, where literally the title and the chorus is We Gonna Be Alright. But and then so at the end of the song, I guess he did this live. He just goes into this speech, and then that transitions into Mortal Man. So Mortal Man is not the most mind-blowing song on the album. It's not the most jazzy sonically. It's not the most lyrically dense or the most intense, but it's one of the most important in that it's conclusive. It's very conclusive. The sequencing on here is meticulous. The whole album, like, it's very precise. Yeah, Kendrick doesn't skimp out on that. The sequencing is very precise and intentional. And Mortal Man is one of the most conclusive outros of an album I've ever heard. One of the repeating, I don't know if there's not really a hook. Well, there is kind of a hook, but the foremost repeating bar over the rapping part of the song is when shit hit the fan, is you still a fans? And that ties into the title of Mortal Man. It's like, I'm just a guy like you. When shit gets fucked up, are you gonna stick around? Are you still gonna be a Kendrick fan? Are you gonna hop on the fucking cancel? Like, and sorry, side note, completely unrelated. Were people actually trying to cancel Eminem? I feel like there was a lot of TikTok saying, "Oh my god, imagine trying to cancel Eminem," but I've only seen like one or two that ever said we're canceling Eminem. Anyways, I just need to get that out there. But so Mortal Man, after the rapping part ends, another way this is conclusive. The poem that I mentioned earlier that he repeats in pieces, and at the end of most songs, he recites completely. And when he gets to the end, a little a jazz backing track comes back in, and you're like, huh, there's still like 5 minutes to this song. I wonder what's gonna happen. And then you hear him ask a question, and at first you think he's posing it to the listener, and then you hear Tupac's voice, and for a second you're like, it sounds like Tupac, and then he does like a whole interview with Pac, and which is very necessary, because Tupac had a lot of the same ideas, and whether he was contradictory in his career is an episode that it deserves an episode in and of itself. But the whole Tupac interview at the end of Mortal Man, very necessary, I think, to the flow of the album. And then eventually, Kendrick, I think he asks one more question, or he reads one more free-form poem or something, and then Pac disappears. And then the last few seconds of the album is like him yelling out Pac's name. And which is a crazy way to end. So, to summarize my thoughts, this is, production-wise, sonically, one of, if not the best hip-hop albums. Sorry. Sonically, production-wise, one of the best albums of all time. Lyrically, the best rap album of all time. One of the best albums of all time, regardless of gender, lyrically. Sorry, regardless of genre. The amount of creative will and just like genius you have to have. I don't want to make it sound like I'm sucking his dick here, but hey man, not everyone can make this shit. This album it just represents so much, and which is kind of compounded in a few songs, but just the sequencing and the meticulousness of everything, and just how he ties it all in, it's so cohesive. It's a story. It's more of a movie. It's more of a motion picture than an album. That's what makes this one of the best albums ever made. And with that, I gotta wrap it up. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be back with the just regular shit talking episode very soon. I've been talking for a long time. My voice hurts. But once again, I thank you for listening. Have a good evening.